Hello and good morning. Happy Friday. Oh, camera's a little bit broken per usual. Nice. Happy Friday. Welcome back to the Phase of Data Makeover Monday live stream. My name is Blake, and I am going to be working through Makeover Monday today. So, as always, we will kick things off here with the Makeover Monday website. If you haven't been here before, it is a new home for the Makeover Monday datasets every week. So the link is in the chat. If you're on YouTube and watching the VOD, it is just makeovermonday.vercel, VERCEL .app. So we'll go ahead and flip over to the datasets tab. And today, this week, we are looking at park amenities. So we have this data set. I happen to know a little bit about it in advance because I uploaded it this week. Where we are looking at the count of park amenities by city and state across the United States. Shout out to Brittany Rosenau for recommending this data set this week. She found this Tableau page in the wild. If I flip over to the source, there's actually tons of charts, all built out in Tableau, all in need of a makeover. So I went ahead and grabbed this one here for pickleball courts or just general amenities. So without further ado, let's go ahead and download this data set. And let's get to it. It comes through as a zip file because it's a larger file than some other weeks, but we just quickly unzip that to a single CSV, and we can jump right in. What version of Tableau do I want? This should be good. Awesome. Sweet. So right off the jump, let's take a quick look at our columns we have here. We've got city state, which we expected. Looks like we've got some additional dimensions here for potentially filtering. We've got a population grouping as well as a climate zone. So we'll want to take a look at what the unique values are for these. We can actually do so from this screen with the describe feature here. And there's only 4 members in the population grouping. We go from 2 to 300K, 3 to 5, then half a mil to a mil, and a million plus in population. And then for climate zone, it looks like we've got 8 values, a whole bunch of different things between cold and hot, and a couple nulls, it looks like. So that's interesting. Then we've got amenity groups here with 7 different members. Very nice. Aquatics, cooling, fields, courts, and then presumably amenity type is going to have more than 7. Yeah, we've got 24 members. So we've got kind of a more granular view here with our amenity type and then our amenity group over here. And then last but not least, we've got some definitions, which will be great for, we have all 24 members here, so each of the amenity types. This is great for like a tooltip context or something like that. And then last but not least, the data's formatted a little funny this week. It looks like we've got measure names and measure values coming in as our set of measures. So in this case, I will probably end up creating calculated fields for each of these to separate this out. And yeah, let's start on that side. So we've got 4 different measure names fields coming through here. Count per capita, which I assume is investment per capita, population value, and then just a total investment. So I'm going to go ahead and create a folder first off for our data source and drag. I'm not a big fan of hierarchies, so I'm going to fan that out. And let's drag these up into the data source. And then I'm just going to call my first folder here measures because that's what we're making. Awesome. So let's go ahead and get started with that. We can create a per capita 10K field, and we're just going to say if measure names equals per capita 10K. Oops. Then measure values, and that should give us, here, let's go ahead and take a look at this really quick. If I add this on, perfect. So we see this is just giving us back our per capita. And then if we do that same kind of thing twice more, I'm just going to duplicate to save some time and some clicks. We can create population. Make sure that works. It does. And then we can grab total investment. Perfect. And then let's double check this really quick. Those match. Will we need count? We might. I'll make it just in case. I don't know if we'll be using it much. But that's all right. If it equals count, then measure values. Let's just confirm that that's working too. Perfect. So now, if we take off measure names here, nice. Yeah. So it looks kind of the same, but what we have is actually the true measure values here fanning out. And I should be able to just hide this fake measure names and measure values. And I can move these measures back up here. And I'm going to name this, I'll just call it calcs, just in case you didn't make anything else. Perfect. So we've got 3 measures. I say that with a funny tone because per capita, I assume correlates pretty closely with the relationship between population and total investment. The first thing that kind of comes to my mind here, I'm going to pop out the caption box here and type a little bit of thought on the side. Make this like regular. I'll make it a little bit bigger. Initial idea. So I'm thinking we make a scatter plot. And then measure on rows / columns / size. So I'm picturing a bunch of bubbles floating in space. Each mark represents a city. And then we have filters for population grouping, climate zone, and amenity group / type. I'm not sure yet. This is kind of the idea. And as I think about kind of what my brain is pulling from, there's actually a viz on public. I wonder if I can find it in my favorites. There's a viz that comes to my mind immediately. This is from like a while ago. But I would love to give credit if I can. It's from a while ago. Missed it. got the same color palette as this. But anywho, wait, one more thing I want to check. I've got this tool called My Mind. I'm going to move this over here to make sure that there's not anything in my life that is not Viz related. I don't think I have it in here either. Okay, fair enough. Anywho, I think we're gonna make a scatter plot. So let's go ahead and bring this to life. So first and foremost, maybe we try. Oh, I don't know. What do we want to put on size? Maybe we'll do like population and per capita. We can turn off our text. I will put city on detail. And then I can put maybe this to a circle and total investment to size. Okay, so we've got as the per capita investment grows, I would prefer if we flip flop these axes. So as the population grows, and way over here, you've got New York, which makes sense, big city, then LA. That is crazy. I did not realize how much bigger New York was than LA. It's a lot. Chicago, Houston, and then we've got our per capita investment going up. So like up here, we've got Irvine, we've got St. Paul, Huntsville. So all of these places have a relatively smaller population, but likely a larger, well, not necessarily a larger total investment, but relative to their population size, a much larger investment. So then if we put something like total investment on, I already did that, total investment on size, we get a view that looks like this. Interesting. What does if we were to put like a distribution band on per capita? Sure, 1680% of average. So this is kind of your sweet spot. Sweet spot. This is your expected value of per capita. So anything between here is kind of like that middle 40%, or not 40%, but it sits close to the average essentially of the per capita value. Anything above here are kind of your overachievers. Anything below are your underachievers. And then if we were to go and add some of the filter pieces that we were talking about, things like climate zone, we can show that filter, population grouping, and then amenity. We'll just start with the group for now. We can start to go through and like deselect bigger cities. And now all of a sudden we've got a slightly easier view to look at. I can make the size of these a little bit larger. Maybe I make them like semi-opaque. We can put like an outline on these too. Cool. Go in and click around. I'm sure there's tons of insights in here. Let's show a highlighter for city as well. Where's Austin? Oh, oops. I probably need to put some of these guys on. Where's Austin at? Oops. Oh, I need to disable recalculate on this band. There's Austin. Cool. So smaller city relatively. I could make a whole narrative where like we anchor the visualization to a city. So then like relative to Austin, how does the per capita look and how does the population look? And make that kind of like a 0 0 point. Let's mess around with it because we've got a lot of time in the hour. There's my cat flying into the background. So let's do like P selected. I'll just do P state or P city, excuse me. And this can be a string, and we'll just add values from city. Awesome. And then we'll do a calc that is selected city. And this is going to be p city equals city. And then essentially what we want to do, if we can create like a table here to build this out. We've got our per capita, we've got our population, we've got our total investment. Essentially what we want to build out is a table calc of sorts, or like an LOD situation. So let's see, what do we want to do first? Selected city PC for per capita. So I'll say if is selected city, then per capita end. I'll hit apply on this and drag it out. And we'll see that for Albuquerque, in this case, we have a value here. It matches our other per capita. I'm going to make the number format on this a little bit more granular. Percentage, or not percentage, number custom, maybe 2 decimals. Get a little more precision. Also, wait, let's check the count on these, by the way. Do I have the grain right? No. Oh, because we have all the amenity types. Got it. So what we'll actually want to do is not necessarily sum this per capita value. Let's understand this data a little bit better really quick. So give me, I don't know, Albuquerque. Give me all of our amenity groups. Give me our amenity types. Give me our count. Oh, this is the count of amenities. Silly me. I'm gonna rename this amenity count. Why does this show me the count? Did I do that? Sum of amenity count. Oh, sorry, I'm losing my mind from all the count naming. Okay, so we've still got 4 records per city, group, and type. Could it be a climate zone thing? Doesn't look like it. Population grouping doesn't look like it. Nope. Can't be state. Oh, you know what? We've got 4 records per because we had the measure names and measure values columns, and we had 4 different measures. So in reality, we are at the grain of the data here, which is good. But yeah, we're at the grain of the data. It's just we're seeing 4 instead of 1 here because there were 4 rows per row, if you will. So we're aggregating all 4 of them to create our now flat table as opposed to long table. Cool. So let me look at amenity count. Let's grab population, total investment, and per capita once more. And like, what is the relationship here between 566,056 divided by 234,888,929? We get 0.0024. Okay. Interesting. What does this look like if we just plot population versus, so if I select both these pills here, I can right click and do swap and change the view nice and quickly. Okay, so these numbers really blow skewed because of New York. if I exclude New York just for a moment, we start to see this radiating effect a little bit here. This might be something that we want to play with a bit. Is there a way that we can, like a log's not really great for this either. A way that we can handle this a bit better. Where's my New York? Because if we exclude our big populations, what if we make this like single value list? So these are our million plus players. These are our 200 to 300. These are our 3 to 5. These are our 5. Okay. This could be fun. And then we can control our amenity groups as we kind of go through and deselect things. A couple dots wiggle around. Okay. And then if we were to go forward with that idea of like an anchored point, so amenity count's not what I want here, by the way. I wanted this. Okay. Selected city PC is 495. Got it. 56605. Cool. So then let's go ahead and maybe we do, where's my scatter plot? Maybe we make amenity group single select. I'll leave all as an option. And then we include amenity type. But amenity type is going to be only relevant values so that we get like a subset based on our selection here. So as we go to fields and courts, we get just those options. Fitness areas, we get just those options, and we can kind of explore the data set that way. Nice. And then, of course, we'll want to add some color and some element to this scatter plot to make it a little bit more engaging. So let's try that. I don't even know if I really like the idea of the anchor city. I think I just want to keep the scatter plot as it is. So this is going to break. This is going to break. Let's just try to make something that looks nice. $1,400 by $850. Delete the phone layout. Add your container. Things that I do in my sleep. And then add one more container. Put it over here to catch the junk, which we will end up needing in a little bit. Drop our sheet on. I'm going to name it as best practice scatter plot. And then let's put some outer padding on this whole guy. Maybe we can use like what would be a fun color palette? I kind of like, I'm drawn to this like dark color palette here. So let me use this color picker tool that I've got and grab this black, copy that hex code. And then we can go to format. Let's just format the workbook here. And well, before I do that, let's format the dashboard. Let's change the background color to that hex code. Grr. It won't let me paste it because I think it took the pound sign. 1E252B. What? 1E252B. And I could do the same thing here. And then we'll play around with the color of our dots in a minute here. Now what I wanted to do was format workbook, and we'll change our default font to, what is this, like off-white color? I kind of like it. D4, D4, D4. Nice. As far as default grid lines go, I don't really have a color to anchor to. Let's change this to like a gray kind of thing. Something like that, maybe. Total investment population. I need space for my title for later. And for filters, make this like size 8. And let's make this like size 24. I'll make this like 12 for now. What size is that? 110. We can make it 120. Then we need a footer as well. Viz by Blake Feza. Data source. Data source was Trust for Public Land. Make this like size 11. Oh, shoot. Nice. Give this a little bit of breathing room. And then we can actually reduce the outer padding on the bottom to maybe like 10. Nice. So this is where our title and our filters will go. We could potentially make a container that slides out from the side for our filters. We'll see if we want to do that. I'm not convinced that that's the best thing to do quite yet. Let's make the background of this container our background color so I can see these easier. And then let's tweak the color palette here for our circles. I think I'm debating if I want the per capita value on color or if I want total investment. Let's try both. Let's try per capita. And then let's change this to something that'll pop a bit. I would do something more stepped or like diverging for more color pop, but I feel like with this data set, it just doesn't make sense because we don't have a metric that splits. So diverging doesn't really check that box for me. And a stepped color palette or like categorical or anything like that doesn't really feel right either. So we'll just stick with this for now. Okay. Got it. We'll definitely need to do some cleanup on our tooltips because they're white on the white tooltip box. So We still can't format that guy. I'll just clean these up now before I forget later. Actually, wait, before I tweak this, what do we not need? We might actually keep all these fields in there. There we go. Now we can read. So we can probably format our investment in the millions. Default properties, number format, number custom. We'll put this in the millions with 2 decimals. These averages. That's more like it. Per capita population. I don't need a 0 line. I just need this to start at 0, to be honest. Same with you. I'm still not convinced this is like the best way to lay out our scatter plot. Population going across the x-axis, average total investment going up. Because it sits, well, that's a thought. The relationship here, you would kind of expect to be linear. And it is pretty darn close. But now this kind of splits our view into what I would deem like overachieving. Oh, and my camera's been messed up for gosh knows how long. We're back. What I would deem like overachieving or underachieving. So that's a bit interesting. Because if your total investment goes above this line, let's play around with that. We also want to make sure this line doesn't recalculate. So there's that. Is this considered a reference line? No. This is considered a trend line. Yes. Make this guy nice and thick. Yeah. It's just noise. I don't think it's adding that much insight. Cool. Average total investment. We can edit this to just total investment. Population. make this like size 12. Format this to the top. And then I'll just actually put a container in there for the filters. Just tinkering with sizing. It's like the most fun part of the day. And then can I change the background color of these filter boxes? It's my title. Not easily. It's not it either. There's a hack for this, and I don't remember what it is. But because I don't remember what it is, I guess we will just leave these as gray. Nice. Maybe I'll make this just like 80. Yeah, I like the breathing room, but not quite that much. 100. And then this has a bit of breathing room as well. We can add some inner padding to the left on this guy to give him some space. This needs a title though, but I can float a title above. Let's do that now so I don't forget to do that. And I want to clean up these aliases under groups. What is usage infrastructure? Restroom facilities. Nice. This gives me a funny thought about, I don't know, a sillier take on the data set this week, which would be how does the number of restrooms correlate with something like, I don't know, pickleball courts right now, because that's uh, pretty big and popular. But um, we're in a little bit deep in the hour. I want to check it though. I'll wait. I'll restrain myself for now. Average population. It's just population. Let's make the font of these maybe bold just so they pop a little bit more. Tinker with the size a bit. Is that right? What's the population of New York City? Nice. Okay, that checks out. Just wanted to do a sanity check. Um, I don't know why Huntsville, Alabama has a null climate. It kind of bothers me. Um, okay. What is the climate of Huntsville? Uh, Safari. And let's say cold, hot, dry, hot, humid, marine, mixed, dry, mixed, humid, or what is the one that I've highlighted right now? Very cold, which it is not. Hot, humid. So then I can make a group out of this. bingo. And then I can replace references with my group. Nice. Um, I don't know if anyone notices, but I always put a space here in front of my titles for these filters because if you look, amenity starts a little bit too far to the left of the box. But by putting a space in the front, sorry, I was thinking if I wanted to rename this to like subgroup or something. But you can see that it aligns with the box. So weird, but it's one of the many things with Tableau that we just do. Let's put some inner padding on this, maybe like 20 and 20. Clean up our tooltips. Let's make this a little bit more eye-catching. that right? Let's just double check. I have a thought. I want to know where has the most restrooms per capita. I want to put that in my title. Entity group, this guy. We'll take our average per capita, put it on as a bar. Now, St. Petersburg, Florida does. And that population grouping is 200 to 300K. Mm, nice. Easy enough. Something simple this week. Anything I want to add? I don't know. This might be doing it. I think I might be fine with this. Uh, cool. Well, let's go ahead and upload this guy. I need to make an extract first. Actually, before I do that, let me save the workbook as a TWBX. I'll just say Makeover Monday, July 17th, 2026. Now, when I go and I create my extract, it automatically saves into that workbook or into that packaged workbook just to keep it organized a little bit. That was weird. All right. Nice. Now let's just double check that it went through onto public correctly. Yeah, I think we are good. Nice. All right, that will do it. Thank you guys for tuning in. I will